Hi everybody, it's John back with another model inbox review. Today we're looking at an aircraft which some people may not know what it is, some people probably will, and if you were anything to do with the Royal Navy Air Service in the late 50s and mid 60s, you'll probably know what this aircraft is, but I'll let you into a little secret. The aircraft is actually a de Havilland DH-110 Sea Vixen. And the Sea Vixen came in two guises, and I'm going to explain what the two guises are with the use of two photographs. This one here is the FAW Mark 1, and it's easily distinguishable from the FAW Mark 2, which was the upgraded version of the Sea Vixen that carried the fighter interception role with the Royal Naval Air Service right through until around about 1969, 1970. And it was eventually replaced by the Phantom. In the background you can see a nice image of a blue and yellow topped Westland Whirlwind. I'm not sure which version that is, but it looks like it could be an HAS Mark 10. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, that's definitely a Westland Whirlwind. Now the FAW Mark 1 Sea Vixen basically carried a similar armament to the Mark II, but it did have revised avionics to be upgraded with the new red top air-to-air missile. But the FAW Mark 1 had the standard airframe as the prototype was built with, and you can see, I'll just mark this with the arrow here, you can see here that the booms finish before the leading edge of the wing. And this is a telltale point of an FAW Mark 1, because the FAW Mark 2, as you can see from this picture, had extended tail booms that actually fed over the top leading edge of the wing itself, but they were above the wing, and these were to house more fuel to give the Sea Vixen a lot longer legs. And as you can see, there are 3 pylons here now instead of 2, and you had the wet pylon on the outside to carry the drop tank to extend the range of the aircraft even more, and it could carry 4 air-to-air missiles. The Sea Vixen was not a popular aircraft with its pilots. It was relatively fast, but it probably would have felt quite foul in a dogfight against a Soviet or maybe a different Air Force's aircraft. But it only really served in the RNAS for about 12 years. So anyway, that's the differences between the Sea Vixen and the FAW Mark 1 and the FAW Mark 2. So which kit are we doing? Well, first of all, I want to mention this kit. Let's just take that off. This kit is the original Frog de Havilland DH-110 prototype Sea Vixen. And this kit was released originally in 1954, and this is not the model. I must stipulate, this is not the model that Frog built that is the basis of the kit that I'm doing a review on. But the DH-110 kit from Frog was originally the pre-production prototype versions prior to the aircraft going into service in about 1956, and these kits were built on the wooden mock-up. They were pretty close to the original FAW Mark 1, but they weren't exactly the same, and the accuracy of the kit was pretty poor. But that was the original Frog release of the FAW Mark 1 prototype. It was also reboxed by a company called Frog Triang Pedigree, and I think these kits were released for the New Zealand market. And this is a carbon copy of the FAW Mark 1 variant, or the prototype variant of the Havilland DH-110 Sea Vixen. But as I said, this is not the kit. This was released in 1968. This is not the kit that I'm reviewing. The kit that forms the basis of the model that I'm reviewing is this one. This is the Frog retool to produce the de Havilland DH-110 Sea Vixen FAW Mark II, and it was first released in 1976. It wasn't a bad kit as things go, and as far as I know, this kit is still being produced or you can still quite easily get a hold of copies of this particular kit in different companies' forms. But it's quite interesting to know that I think Arc Models still do this kit as a general release. But this was a 1976 original tooling from Frog, and this forms the basis of the model that I'll be reviewing, and I'll tell you which one it is when we get to it. 1976 goes on to 1979, when Frog was sold to a company in Russia called Novo. If you ever get a copy of a Novo model, just throw the decals away, because the decals disintegrate in water. They're absolutely atrocious. And it's interesting, make a note of this 304 variant of the Vixen FAW Mark II, because I'll be mentioning that when we get to it in the inbox review. But 304 is a very poignant fact that it was a Novo and I believe a Frog release. Novo released this kit in 1979, and it was again re-released by a company called Donetsk Toy Factory in 1983. This was the original Donetsk boxing of the kit. They're quite interesting because the boxes are almost like a sausage roll. You've got two end flaps, and the box is formed into a box by one piece of cardboard that literally wraps around the plastic inside the kit box there. But that was the Donetsk Toy Factory release of 1983. And then in 1996, well, what do you know? Revell have released the Frog kit. This is exactly the same kit that was originally released 20 years prior to this by Frog, and Revell got their hands on it. Interesting to state that the aircraft was a Hawker Siddeley Vixen FAW Mark II. The aircraft was never a Hawker Siddeley product, it was always a de Havilland product, and Hawker Siddeley never had a hand in building them because the production was ceased before 1970, when the amalgamation of most of the British firms were produced into two big major companies, as in Hawker Siddeley Aviation and Bristol Aircraft Corporation, and eventually they all got merged into BAE. But anyway, that's 1996. Revell releasing the Frog kit, and then in 1997 another company, Modelcraft, they got their hands on the Frog kit as well. Again, they're calling it Hawker Siddeley. This isn't true. As you can see there, the aircraft is firing a red top missile off, which is quite interesting to see. And Modelcraft released this kit in 1997, a year after Revell did. Then in 1998, Donetsk Toy Factory re-released this kit in the guise that I've actually got the kit in from another firm, but we'll see what that is in a minute. But 131 is a very poignant aircraft because it was actually an airshow circuit aircraft in the 1960s called Simon's Circus, and we'll get to that in a minute, but that's 1998 from the Donetsk Toy Factory. And then in 1999, Cometic actually got a hold on this kit as well, and Cometic released this kit from 1999. The boxing, yeah, again it's 131 Simon's Circus again, XJ580, which is the aircraft I'll probably be building, because I'll explain why that isn't in a minute. But yeah, Cometic, I quite like the boxing on Cometic. It's quite nice, flip top lid by the look of it. But 1999 release went into 2004, and this is actually the kit that I've got to review. The Eastern Express de Havilland DH-110 Vixen FAW Mark II. This was originally released in 2004, and that's the variant of the boxing that I've got from 2004. It was eventually re-released in 2006, and the way you can tell the difference between a 2004 and a 2006 release is that the actual boxing on the top of the box was slightly darker. The 2004 release had a more vibrant box image to it, and yeah, you can just generally tell. I don't know why this was, but it was. And all the images I've seen of the 2006 release, the box top is definitely slightly, it's not a lot, but it is ever so slightly darker. Anyway, 2006 Eastern Express then goes to 2007, and this is the company you can get this kit from now, probably in the model shelves if shops stock ARC models, because this is the company that have got all the frog molds that were originally Frog, Novo, Danensk Toy Factory, Cometic, and Eastern Express. So they're all covered by ARC models now. This release was 2007, and ARC re-released the kit again in 2011 with the original Frog box artwork, which is quite interesting. It's also interesting here that ARC models actually state that it's a Frog kit, Frog Novo release. There's the Novo boxing, there's the Frog boxing, and that's the Frog colour call out and decal guide on the back of the Frog box. So that's quite interesting as well. So that's 2011, that was the last rendition of this kit. I'm pretty sure they're still releasing this kit now. And you know, you can probably get them in some shops, but you can definitely get hold of this kit secondhand on eBay and other social media sites. Anyway, I'll leave you now with a nice image of an FAW Mark II Sea Vixen. I quite like the Sea Vixen. The shape is unusual, and it's unusual for a modeler to build a Sea Vixen, because it will always be an unusual kit in their collection. And the Sea Vixen is an ugly, quite warlike looking aircraft. And I think, as I said before, it would be an interesting addition to anyone's collection. Anyway, let's have a look at the kit in question. Just bring this down, and here's the model we've got to review. Turn it around so you can see. The box is quite big, as you can see. Let's just try and pull that up a little tiny bit. There we go. My stand is not very strong, unfortunately. It's not very strong. Let's put that into there. There we go. The box is quite big. That's my hand over the box. It's actually probably about 2 hands width. And it's a nice sturdy flip top box from Eastern Express. You can see the image there. This is Simon Circus variant of the FAW Mark II Sea Vixen. And we'll have a look at the sides in the box and the ends of the box. You've got serial number 72284 in 1/72. There's a bit of Russian information there. Eastern Express's logo. On this side you've got a few kits that Eastern Express also did. God, this box is so big I can't fit it into the let's try and get this a little bit further back so that maybe I can fit some of this into the picture a little bit. There we go. That's a bit better, isn't it? Supermarine attacker there. This is the Seahawk, the Lightning F6, the Hawker Harrier, and the FG-1 Phantom, which is the aircraft that actually replaced the Sea Vixen in Royal Naval Service. Yeah, on this side you've got Navy Interceptor Sea Vixen and most of the same gumph again. And on this side you've got something quite interesting, because on the side of this box you've got 304. Remember I mentioned 304 as a Sea Vixen from one of the images? Well, 304 is prominent on the side of the box, and it looks like it's an option. But the decal sheet inside this kit doesn't include any of the decals for that variant at all, but the Frog kit did. And I think the Revell kit did as well. Let's have a look at the inside of the box and let's see what we've actually got here. We'll have a look at those in a minute. Let's have a look at the instruction leaflet. When I first opened this box up to have a look to see what we had, I was quite shocked by this instruction leaflet, because this is one of the cheapest versions of an instruction leaflet I've ever seen, and apparently Eastern Express do this a lot. The kit builds up in 11 stages depending on which variant you want, but it's 10 basically, 11 if you include the colour guide, which is interesting. And basically in section 1 you build an interior, as you can see there. Section 2 you've got the Matcha Magic pods. Section 3 you've got fuel tanks, drop tanks rather. Section 4 and 5 are the main undercarriage oleos and doors. Section 6 are the wings. Section 7 is an option for the wings, where you can have the wings folded, which I might be tempted to do. I've never done a kit with folded wings before. I might be tempted to have a bash at that. Section 8 is you put there. This is where you marry the fuselage halves together. The fuselage halves on the Sea Vixen are top and bottom, like you would get with, say, the Airfix Tomcat or the Airfix Tornado kits. So you won't have a seam across the top of the airframe or the underside of the airframe, but you will have a seam down the sides of the forward section of the fuselage and along the wing roots and tail section. And I think this type of fuselage assembly is easier to hide all the seams with filler. Section 9, you're building the majority of the airframe up with the twin booms and tailplane section there, the nose cone. I would suggest you would need a serious amount of weight in that nose cone and maybe a little bit underneath the fuselage, underneath the cockpit canopy floor. And you've got a couple of jet nozzles there. This is the housing for the canopy, and the canopy goes on top of the housing. Quite easy. In section 10, this is where it gets interesting. You've got section 10, you put in the wings on, the undercarriage, nose wheels and all the doors. And section 11, you're putting the wings on. If they were to be folded, they're explaining how the wings go into place, and that's the plan view from the front of how it would look. So I'm quite tempted by that. And then you turn this page and you've got section 10B. Now I think section 10B should be 11, and section 11 should be 10B. But basically section 10B, according to the instructions, is the ordnance fit, and you've got 4 red top missiles, 2 Matra Magic pods, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, it's six missiles, 2 Matra Magic pods, and 2 drop tanks. No, I don't think that's right. No, you've got, here's the option. This is how it is. Sorry, I've just realised how it is. You've got 2 options. You've got option A, which is 2 drop tanks on the outside wing tank pylons and 4 red top missiles. Option B is 2 drop tanks on the outside pylons, 2 red top missiles on the inner middle pylons, and 2 Matra Magic pods or Zuni missile pods on the inner pylons. And then you've got a plan for the decal sheet there, the colour callouts. There's no actual colour numbers for any firm whatsoever, so you just have to sort of decide what you want to do. And then you've got the colour callouts, paint plan and decal application plan. And that's for a Sea Vixen from 892 Squadron Fleet Air Arm Simon Circus aerobatic team. The Royal Navy had an aerobatic team called Simon Circus, and I think they were 9 Sea Vixens. I'm sure there were 9 Sea Vixens. Right, so that's the instructions. They're not fantastic, are they? But they'll be alright. I'm sure they'll be alright. Decals. The decals on this sheet are interesting, because you've actually got 2 aircraft here. There's XS577 and the kit that you have only got a colour guide for, which is XJ580, as displayed on the box, XJ580. The thing is, XS577 was also part of Simon Circus. So you could build 2 aircraft by buying 2 kits. The problem is you haven't got a decal application guide for XS577, and also, this is really strange, Sea Vixen 304, which you do have decals and a paint plan for in a lot of the other options, and the original Frog release from 1976, in the Eastern Express kit you haven't got the decals to build that kit, that version. You've only got 137 or 131, and 131 is the only one I've got the colour guide for. So 131 is probably the kit you're going to be ending up building, but these transfers look quite good. They're not very raised. They don't appear to be terribly thick. They have got a slight thickness to them, but the backing film seems to be non-existent. It seems to be quite, really clear, and the register on those roundels are pretty good. So, for the version that you've got decals and paint guide for, I think it will be all right. Now then, transparency sprue. This kit's transparency, it's quite clear, but the cockpit frame is absolutely abysmal, and there's quite a lot of flash on that cockpit. Also, the window which goes beside the cockpit canopy is, in my opinion, a little bit too small. And this other part here, I'm not sure what that is, but I'm sure it will come to mind in the plans when we start building the kit. But that's the transparency sprue. I'm not over satisfied with the transparency sprue. I think it could have been a lot better than that. Anyway, the first sprue, there's quite a lot of flash on this kit. And the first thing I've noticed is the upper fuselage here has got quite a lot of what I would call surface sinkholes. This is abnormalities in the moulding because the tool is probably too old now, and really they shouldn't be producing this kit anymore. I think it's just a little bit too old. But that's the upper surface. Can you see the FA-2 extended wing, extended boom tanks? There were increased avionics as well put into the aircraft, and I think the FA-2 had uprated engines as well to make it slightly quicker and more responsive. The pilot figure is typical Frog, as you can see there. He's quite waxy in features, but he, as a lot of Frog pilots go, he's not that ape-like, so I think he'll paint up all right. The red top missiles seem to be all right. But I am also quite surprised by the main undercarriage wheels, because they're quite nicely detailed, aren't they? The seat's not much to write home about. The undercarriage oleos, they're not fantastic. The kit is just satisfactory in my opinion. I don't think it's a particularly detailed and really accurate and nicely finely detailed kit. I don't think it is. Jet pipes on the back, they're a bit bereft of features as well, aren't they? There's not a lot going on in there. And the surface detail on the airframe is not too brilliant either. You can see from the wings there is a few raised panel lines, but the abnormality of the plastic, I mean these bits here, there's sinkholes all over the shop. I don't think that's very good. And these are the wing joins if you wanted the aircraft to have folded wings. Not that good either. That might turn me away from producing a folded wing kit. Underside fuselage parts. Whoops, sorry about that. The underside fuselage part is it's a bit more detailed than the upper surface. There's quite a bit of detail going on in the wing wells, the wheel wells rather. But again, the fuselage half is actually festooned in sinkholes and abnormalities. And I mean, look, what the hell's going on here? There's like a big dip where the airframe's supposed to meet this part of the airframe, and it's just a big dip sinkhole. It's not very good at all. The nose wheel, is that the nose wheel? My God, that's dreadful. But we'll see what it looks like on the kit. I'm not really sure. According to this, there's two strut holes where the nose wheel goes, but there's only one big massive. There's one big massive pin on that. So I don't know really. We'll have to see what's going on with that with the instructions when it comes to it. And then you've got. I think you've got different wings for the folded wings. I'm just looking at this. Yeah, you have. You've got different wings. Can you see? These are the wings that you put on the aircraft when the aircraft's wings are unfolded. in the extended variant. You've got a cockpit plan there, pan, bathtub, and that's also the canopy shroud there as well. And these are the wings that you use if you want the wings folded. There's no tabs, and you put these weird bits on to reenact a folded wing system. Very interesting. Yeah. So anyway, that's the parts. I'm not over the moon about the parts, I'll be honest with you. I don't think they're that good. Yeah. We'll see how it goes together. That's probably the best I can state, is to see how it goes together. I'm just going to put this back in here and then I'll read off the gump to finish this video. But yeah, I've always wanted to build a Sea Vixen, and we have a Sea Vixen here, and it'll be interesting to see how it comes out. Anyway, the model we're doing an inbox review on today is the Eastern Express de Havilland DH110 Sea Vixen FAW Mark II. Its original release date from FROG was 1976, but this is an Eastern Express 2004 release. Its serial number is 72284, but the other interesting thing is that the sprues are covered in F409 serial numbers, which was the original FROG release serial number from 1976. The kit's released in 1/72 scale. Now, the options for the decals are one version of a Sea Vixen FAW Mark II serial number 131 XJ580 from 892nd Squadron Royal Naval Air Service, based in Yeovilton in the UK in 1968, and the aircraft was the Fleet Air Arms Aerobatic Team Simon's Circus. There are decals supplied for another Sea Vixen from Simon's Circus, serial number 137 XS577, but there are no paint or decal guide plans on the instructions. There's also another Sea Vixen depicted on the side of the box, serial number 304 XJ524 from 892 Squadron Royal Naval Air Service, Yeovilton, but there's no decals included for this option at all. But this was a general service aircraft that served, I think, land-based and sometimes on HMSR Royal in the late 60s. Now, there are 60 parts on 4 grey plastic sprues, and 3 parts on a transparent sprue, making 63 parts in total. The kit's dimensions should be around 9.5 inches long by an 8.5 inch wingspan, and it should sit about 2 3/4 inches high on its undercarriage. Now, the options and costs, I've kept them to 1/72 scale because there are quite a few. The standalone kits are a company called Ann Barron Models. They build an FAW Mark I, which is a resin cast kit. I've got no prices available for this, and I've not seen anything on the internet to give me any idea whether it's expensive, cheap, what the quality of the kit's like or anything. There's no information whatsoever. Cyber Hobby did an FAW Mark I, which retails for about £13, and an FAW Mark II boxing for about £23 to £30. The Cyber Hobby kit is really, really nice. The FROG FAW Mark I, which was the original 50s tooling, that kit came out around about £20 to £40, and FROG's FAW Mark II, which was the 76 tooling, is £8 to £30. Now, Gerald J. Elliott did an FAW Mark II multimedia kit, and this I've seen retailing on eBay for about 15 quid at the moment. High Plains Model do a boxing of an FAW Mark I, and another boxing of an FAW Mark I, a Mark II, and a D3. They're all multimedia kits made with white metal, vacuum-formed, and some resin parts. These kits all retail for around about 18 to 20 quid. MPM do a half-decent FAW Mark I, which retails for about £25 to £35, and a company called Magna Models, who build a multimedia boxing, one of an FAW Mark II and one of an FAW Mark I. The Mark I retails for about 15 to 20 quid, and the Mark II goes for about 18 to 20 quid. Now, Main Track Models also do a de Havilland 110 prototype multimedia kit. This again is white metal and vac form. No pricings available on that. And another kit company called Whirly Kits, they did a DH110 prototype multimedia kit as well, and there's no pricings available on that. Now, these kits have been reboxed by a number of companies. Arc Model do an FAW Mark II reboxed frog kit, retails about £15 to £20. Cometic did an FAW Mark II reboxed frog kit for about £17 to £30. Contrail do an FAW Mark II reboxed Gerald J. Elliott kit for about £10 to £15. Donetsk Toy Factory, or DZI, do an FAW Mark II reboxed frog kits for about £22. Frog Triang Pedigree do an FAW Mark I reboxed frog kit, and I have seen a couple of these on eBay. They retail for between £30 and £45. And IORI do an FAW Mark II reboxed frog kit. I haven't actually got any images of the IORI version, but it was released in around about 1996, I believe. And again, I've got no prices on that either. Modelcraft do an FAW Mark II, which is a reboxed frog kit, for around about for £8 to £35. Revell do the FAW Mark II reboxed frog kit for about £3 to £25. Revell also did an FAW Mark II reboxed cyber hobby kit for about £13 to £40. And Special Hobby do an FAW Mark II reboxed MPM kit, which is actually an FAW Mark I, and that retails for £20 to £35. Extra Kit also did an FAW Mark II, which is a revamped MPM kit, and that retails for about 25 to 30 quid. Now then, conclusions. This model will build up into quite a large kit, and I was surprised how big the Vixen is. The parts are definitely 1970s era, and the Eastern Express kit leaves you wondering why the options are not shown on the plans for the decals provided, and what was going on with the option on the side of the box that had no decals in the box whatsoever for. Typical 70s frog pilot, and I'm expecting to need a lot of lead for the nose on this thing, so be prepared. Looking forward to building this kit though, and I hope I can do it some justice. It is worthy of note that the original tooling of the FAW Mark I prototype frog kit and all the kits that are based on that are pretty poor, and also the Cyber Hobby based kits, they're probably some of the best 72nd scale Vixen kits on the market. And the new Revell kit is probably the one that's most easily to get hold of. And I've seen reviews, the pro builders and IPS model builders, they love it. They think it's really, really nice. So it would be probably a good option to go for. I hope this video has been of use. If you have any questions, queries, just pop them in the comments and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. And I hope all your modelling projects are running very smooth. I'll see you for the next video. Thanks for tuning in. Bye bye for now.